Welcome, citizens of Gotham, to The Fire Rises, a Batman podcast focusing on all things The Dark Knight and the DC Universe. If you'd like to connect with the show, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, and Threads. Just search tfrbatpod. And if you have thoughts, questions, comments, or even suggestions for future episodes of the show, you can reach us by email. Just shoot those emails to tfrbatpod@gmail.com. My name is Eric Carter, and I am your host, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Joe Fornerado. Joe, how are you, my friend?
Good, Eric. What's going on? I'm impressed you remembered all of the intro.
Did I? Because I'd have to go back and listen to it to make sure I actually got it all, but if you say so.
It sounded good to me. I was surprised that you didn't have to do a couple takes.
It's usually muscle memory. So
yeah. Nice to be back. Thank you for having me again. And it's been a month now. I feel like every time for the last few episodes we've been talking about just how long it's been since we last recorded. I think this might be one of the longer gaps.
Yeah, I think this one's actually over a month. But you know, it is what it is. Schedules, life. We've had a really busy summer. We've been traveling a lot between my wife and I, and I have a new job within my same company, so it's just a busy time. So apologies to all the listeners. We apologize for the lengthy gap, but we're back and we're here to talk about something very, very fun today. So I'm excited to get into it. Before we get there though, Joe, I do want to, since it has been a while, I just want to remind everybody that we still do have our partner sponsor. They are known by a new name. I think we said that last time, but they're still here. They're still with us. Panel Bound Comics is our partner sponsor, and we do have promo codes for Panel Bound Comics. If you look in the link in the description of this episode, that'll take you to Panel Bound Comics. You can use our promo codes. They're still the same. The first, tfrbatpod, will save you $2 off of any order, and then the second, tfrbatpod, ship it together, will save you 5% off of any order of 3 or more books. They are a wonderful company. They were formerly known as Organic Priced Books. They like the name Panel Bound Comics better, which I think their new logo is pretty sleek, pretty cool, and I like the name. So Panel Bound Comics, go check out if you're looking for any trade paperbacks, if you're looking for hardcovers, oversized hardcover like Deluxe Edition, Omnibus, Absolute Edition. They've got your hookup. They've got discounted prices, and you can save even more and support this show by using their promo codes. Joe, I don't know if you finished it yet or not, but Megan and I just recently finished The Sandman Season 2 on Netflix, which is phenomenal. If you haven't watched it, everybody get on it. It's great. And I noticed that Panel Bound Comics has the entire absolute editions of the Sandman in a bundle, so you can bundle them and save some money at Panel Bound Comics. So if there's little out of the way things like that you're looking for, go check them out. And it's coming up on the holiday season as well, Joe, so always good to keep in mind that gifts are there.
Yeah, I just recently purchased, they have a new deluxe edition of Teen Titans Judas Contract coming out in November. I bought that, and I bought Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I found the deluxe edition of that on there. So I got that coming shortly. I did not catch up on Sandman Season 2. I keep forgetting, but I will hopefully get to that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's and I will say it is the final season of the Sandman. So yeah. The second and final season. I think they did a great job. They obviously they could have done more Sandman, but I don't think it feels rushed. So I think it's a good fitting end, and all the actors did a phenomenal job. So definitely worth checking it out. But we're not talking about that show today. We're talking about another show. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of what we're here to talk about, and that is Peacemaker Season 2. All right, so Peacemaker season 2 just wrapped up this past week as we're recording this with its finale episode. It was an 8-episode season. Of course, the showrunner is James Gunn, and he directed several of the episodes along with some other cohorts, and it does star John Cena in the title role, Danielle Brooks, Freddie Stroma, Jennifer Holland, Steve Agee, Frank Grillo, Robert Patrick, and many, many more. But Joe, let's so to kick it off here, I know like the season finale just happened, so I don't think everybody's gotten a chance to watch Peacemaker season 2 yet, probably, or wrap up watching it. So why don't we start kind of just spoiler free? I want to go ahead and just get your thoughts, broad overview without getting into spoilers. What did you think of Peacemaker season 2?
So I really, really enjoyed it. It's hard to get into like what I loved or what I didn't love without getting into spoilers. I will say I don't think it's as I don't know if focused is the right word, but I don't know if I liked it as much as season 1 as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it built off of what I loved about season 1. There are things that I probably could have done with less of, things that I wanted more of. But I think my main takeaway is how much I loved how they built on the characters from season 1, and it made me maybe forgive some shortcomings of season 2 because it was mainly a character focused season. And
Mm-hmm.
you either went with that or you didn't. And I think that's, without getting into it, I think that's where a lot of complaints come from for the finale. But I really I loved the character work from season 1. And I think what they did with those characters in season 2, I think if you told me certain things about what was going to come with this show, I don't know if I would have went with it if I knew ahead of time, but I think the way we get there is really impressive. And again, we weren't really expecting much from season 1 when we got it. I think because we were so pleasantly surprised by season 1, I feel like some of us need to keep our expectations in check with season 2 because it is still just a Peacemaker show. And I don't mean to sound condescending by saying it's just a Peacemaker show,
Sure.
but I got so much more out of this show as a whole than I ever expected to, that I wasn't expecting. My expectations were pretty much in check with season 2 because I didn't really know what they were going to do to build off of season 1, and I'm really, really pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I don't know if it's as high as season 1 as a whole, but I think there were moments that I loved even more than season 1.
Okay. Fair. I'd overall, I want to look at the show overall in a broad aspect. Season 2, I really, really enjoyed. I was looking forward to each episode drop as it was coming out. And so, and I really love spending time with, as they're now known, the 11th Street Kids. Like this group of ragtag heroes or whatever they are, because I don't know that they're always necessarily heroes, but I don't know. From season 1 to season 2, I feel like James Gunn and company really made you care about the individual characters in this group.
Mm-hmm.
From Peacemaker on down to Economos. I mean, you care about each of them, especially Abadiah or Adebayo.
Yeah.
I mess that up just like the people in the show do. Adebayo.
Lee.
I think Lee Adebayo. I think she is honestly the highlight of the series. And I really enjoy when we get to spend time with her. I will say, I think I agree with you. I think the what we got from season 1 kind of set the bar high for expectations when we had none going into season 1. I do agree with that. I do think though that sometimes, and this is James Gunn's personality on social media is sometimes a double-edged sword. because I think he is so engaging with fans that sometimes he says things that sound really exciting from a broad aspect, but it may not be necessarily what you're thinking it is. You know, so
Yes.
so he'll say something's coming that's super exciting, and I think that puts people in the mindset of it's going to be some kind of like a big Marvel-esque reveal. You know, when to James Gunn it might be some deep, exciting pull from the comics that most people won't even know. You know, so like for instance, there was a tease of a big cameo this season. And we did get one, but I think people were expecting like, you know, because there was so much setup from something else that I don't want to get into too much spoilery here, but I think people were expecting something else. You know, I think some people were expecting like a big reveal in the finale or something like that, which didn't happen. Part of that is not the fault of James Gunn because he did exactly what he said he's going to do. There was a cameo. But I think it's just the expectation settings of not only some of the stuff that he shares on social media, but also the atmosphere we're in now as comic book movie people, you know, or general audiences watching comic book movies. There's always big reveals and things like that. So part of it is our own expectations. But I will say, I do think the first 3/4 of this series for me was much stronger than what we ended with. And I think some of the expectations that are set in the season early on are a little dialed back by the end. And the one thing that I really came out of this season feeling like is that James Gunn sort of kind of went back on his word on, you know, each entry into the DCU is perfectly standalone and you don't need to watch anything else to understand it. And there's going to be no homework necessary. When I feel like by the end of this series, season 2 was just a big setup for the greater DCU. That's my opinion from what I got out of the finale. I'm sure people will disagree with me. I think, Joe, you're going to disagree with me on that, but that's how I felt coming out of the season finale.
Without getting into the actual details, the reason I'll push back on that is because we don't know what the next chapter in the DCU is. So when he says you don't have to watch this, that doesn't mean that you that doesn't mean it's not a setup, but it means that you can watch the next one and not have watched this and still understand what's going on. So that could still be true. As far as the being a big setup for the greater DCU, yes, there's a tease for what's coming, but
several teases.
Yes, but that doesn't go back on his word. He never said he wasn't going to set up things. He said that from day one, that he is going to set up things, that this had a great impact on the future of the DCU. So it's all about interpreting the way he's saying things or even putting your own thoughts on what he's saying, where just because things set up other things doesn't mean it's required homework. You know what I mean?
Yes. So let me
like where we end here definitely sets up things, but that doesn't mean that, let's say for argument's sake, to watch Man of Tomorrow, you had to have watched this. I think he's going to catch people up as much as he can, and you'll be fine. Now, I also will say, to me, again, it's hard without spoilers, but I would say almost episode 7 is, and maybe half of episode 8 is kind of like the finale, where then there's like an epilogue that sets up where we're going. But I still think it's a good conclusion to what we got from this season. And it's just not what I expected. And I think I liked that it wasn't what I expected, but we'll get into more of that when we get into details.
Yeah. And I guess you're right. I just felt like when he was saying things like that, I felt like everything was going to be self-contained, kind of. Whereas,
but he never said that.
Sure, you're right. He didn't. But everything that he has said has made it seem that way. So, and I didn't expect to leave a season of DCU television feeling sort of like I did at the end of WandaVision. And
I will not let you say that.
I just gotta be honest, because that I did feel the same way. Like, okay, so this is a setup for something else. And I felt even more so when James Gunn then said there's no plans for Peacemaker season 3. We're not doing Peacemaker season 3.
He never said we're not doing it. He never said we're not doing it. He said, as of now, there are no plans. And that's another thing that headlines are actually misquoting him. And that's why people are saying that we're not getting a season 3. He never said we're not getting it. He said, as of now, there are no plans.
Yes, but when you end a season the way they did, and I'm really dancing around like saying it because I don't want to get into spoilers and mess up everybody, but when you end it the way you do and then say there's no plans for season 3, it's like, oh, well, when are we going to get these characters again? Is it going to be in somebody else's movie? Are we getting a movie with these characters? What's going to happen?
No, I understand that argument. I do. I just feel like it's hard to make that judgment until we see what's coming, and we don't know what's coming yet. So,
and that's why I would have preferred this be just kind of a bookend where I don't feel like when I get to the end of on a rewatch, when I get to the end of the show, I need to then watch something else to complete the story.
But what's the difference? But see, my argument would be, what's the difference if you watch Peacemaker season 3 or another show of season 1? That's the continuation.
Oh, no difference. No difference. But my point is, when I get to the end of Peacemaker season 1, I have kind of a complete journey.
Oh, see, I'd actually argue you do have a complete journey here.
I don't
get to that. I'll get to I'll get to that when we get to it. But I actually think, without getting into spoilers, I really actually like the complete journey here. I do.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it a little more on the spoiler side. But overall, I don't want people to think that I did not like this season. I really did. There was a lot of expectations subverted, where I thought one thing going into an episode, thought something completely different coming out of the episode, and then the very next episode, I'm like, well, I was wrong again. Mm-hmm. So they did a really good job of switching things and making you think one thing when something else was actually going on. So I had a great time through it. It just didn't end the way I would have preferred. So, and that's partly on me. But yeah, overall, it was a really fun season of television, and I had a good time with it. But that's where I stand, like without getting into it. But Joe, let's just go ahead and pull all the gloves off. So if you haven't seen Peacemaker season 2, go watch it. Put a pause on this. Come back after you've seen it. But this is going to be your final warning. From here on, everything is free game. Spoilers are in the open. So let's just get straight to it, Joe. I'm going to pull a Jamie Drewley and go right to the end.
We have to.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you, leaving Chris after we've set up, it's like if the series would have ended on Checkmate being established, mm-hmm. and now we've got this new group, Checkmate. Fine, cool. We've got this new group. Awesome. If we never get another story with Checkmate, at least in my head, I know they're out there doing things, Okay. Mm-hmm. But then when we go and no, Chris is being thrown into this prison, and it's a prison set up for other metahumans, mm-hmm. and it's a cliffhanger ending because we don't know, we don't know what's going to happen with Chris. Is Checkmate going to go get Chris? Are they going to figure out that Grillo, or not Frank Grillo, Rick Flag Sr. has captured him? That's where I'm like, okay, so that's very open-ended. And then again, right after it, no plans for Peacemaker season 3. I'm like, okay. So now we're heading at, so this was a setup for our next project in the DCU. Is it Man of Tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know. That's where I just got to be honest. It feels very Marvel-esque to me. It's just instead of a post credits, they did it in the middle of an episode.
Okay, so here's the reason I want to really push back hard on that Marvel-esque, and comparing it to WandaVision makes me want to throw something right now because I hate the end of WandaVision, because WandaVision is one of the worst endings I've ever seen in any property. And then they threw it away in the continuation anyway. So the reason I'll definitely push back on that is we don't know where they're going yet. Number two, this whole show is about Peacemaker facing responsibilities for all the crap he's done. The whole thing about Adebayo talking to him at the end is about all of these decisions, all of these things that you keep saying you're cursed for. It's because you've just been doing all these terrible things because you don't do what you're supposed to do. And this whole show ends with Flag getting the best of him and winning. That to me is the whole point of this, is Chris couldn't escape all of the things he's done. So to me, that's the ending. Mm-hmm. And it might not be a satisfying ending, but I think it's a good ending. Because as much as Chris tried to escape all this crap he's done, remember, we hated this guy during the Suicide Squad.
Sure.
And we fell in love with him. But at the end of the day, think about all the crap he's done. We've learned at this moment in time, he couldn't escape all the things he's done. Now, you might not like that, and now we hate Flag, but also to the other side of it, can you blame Flag?
No, and see that's the thing.
That's why I like the gray moral.
See what you're defending. I really agree with, because like Flag, like him throwing Flag in the prison makes perfect sense to me.
I mean, Flag throwing Chris in this prison.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Flag throwing Chris into this otherworldly prison makes perfect sense. Like it's what I would have expected the entire time. I knew that Flag was all this, you know. It didn't ring true when he's suddenly against all metahumans, because we just saw him in Creature Commandos with a team of metahumans.
Well, so that's where
I knew the ends were for him, this vendetta against Peacemaker because he killed Rick Flag Jr. I knew that.
I actually didn't even see it coming. So when the Salvation stuff was happening, I'm like, I don't get this. Why is this a big deal? Like, what am I missing here? And then when he threw Chris in the end, and again, we know we're going to see what happens with this. We know it's going to come out. Like, something is going to, whether it be a Checkmate show, the Waller show, we're getting something else eventually to conclude this. But if we don't, to me, it is, I guess satisfying might be the wrong word, because I don't like that Chris is in there. But if it ended, to me, it's Chris getting his comeuppance and getting his punishment finally for all the crap he's done. And it's sad because we fell in love with this guy over the 2 seasons, but doesn't he kind of deserve this? I mean, if we weren't watching a quote unquote Peacemaker show, when you look at all the crap he's done, he does deserve this. He doesn't get to be completely exonerated from all the crap he's done because he has his own TV show. You know what I mean? So I am okay with it. I think it's a very well done. Again, it's a very good character moment for. I mean, I guess that's a bad way of saying it. I just like that it makes you think and makes you feel bad for him, because if they did this without us actually having a character arc for Chris, we wouldn't care that he's in there, but we do care now because we like him. And I like the fact that it is that gray moral area of he loses at the end of this, and Rick Flag doing the horrible thing of using him as the pawn here, or the guinea pig. It's still, you can feel bad for Chris, but also relate to Rick Flag. Also, I will say, it helps that I do listen to the podcast every week with James Gunn. That was not supposed to be the ending. Apparently, he had that idea, but wasn't going to put it as the ending. And who's the producer with him?
Peter Safran.
Peter Safran was the one that said, "Oh no, you have to put that as the ending." So I don't remember exactly how. I think he said it was going to end with just Checkmate. And then Saffron convinced him to add the setup for Salvation, because that is what they're building towards apparently in the greater DCU. Is apparently there's a comic story called, what is it, Final Salvation or Salvation Reckoning, something like that.
Something, yeah, you sent it to me the other day, something like
yeah,
that.
it's right around the time of Final Crisis, which I was not familiar with that story at all. So there is a lot going on. And listen, yes, is it a setup for the future? Of course it is. But we get setups for futures all the time, and we didn't complain about Marvel doing this until their setups and their payoffs became bad. So as long as the payoff is worth it, I don't care that they're doing this. Also, just because the payoff might not be in a Peacemaker season 3 doesn't necessarily mean that, like, I don't care if the payoff is something that's required to view. It's more about, you don't want people to have to watch the setup to make whatever thing that the payoff is happening in was required. If that, I know that sounds really weird, but like, so like you compared it to WandaVision. You can't watch Multiverse of Madness without watching WandaVision because you're totally lost.
Mm-hmm.
If the payoff for this happens in a movie and you have to watch Peacemaker 2 season 2 to make the movie make sense, then yes, I agree with you that is misleading to the audience to say what he's been saying going forward. But I don't think that's going to be the case.
Well,
I think
let me put an asterisk on that. I reserve the right to, if the payoff comes out and it's like, okay, they know how to do it right, then I reserve the right to say, okay, I was wrong on that. But I'm just saying the feeling of me coming out of this, I'm not comparing the quality of the shows or the quality of the ending, anything like that. I'm just saying the feeling that I had ending this season was the very same that I had ending WandaVision, where I got to the end of the episode and it wasn't like, oh man, that was a great episode of TV. I got to the end of the episode and I was like, huh.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Let's pretend we don't know that there isn't going to be a season 3. You've watched shows with cliffhangers before, right?
Oh, of course.
So let's just pretend, because we don't know anything about where this is going to be set up. Let's just pretend it ends on a cliffhanger. We've seen cliffhangers forever.
Yeah, but and this is where I wanted to expand with spoilers a little more, because it wasn't just the ending of the episode that didn't make it a strong finale for me in general as well. It was also the fact that, like, we stopped getting Peacemaker like 2 episodes before.
Yeah, and this is where we will tend to agree. I think I just forgave more than you with this kind of stuff. But yeah, so that's where I kind of feel like, which is the end of episode 6 is when we get the reveal that the alternate Earth is basically Earth X, right?
Yeah.
Because that's episode 6.
Somewhere along in there, yeah.
And then episode 7, that's where it ends with Harcourt thinking about trying to kill his brother, but doesn't get the chance. Is that how episode 7 ends?
I can't remember the specific numbers, but it was something.
Yeah, I think that's the end of episode 7. I really loved episode 7. Unless that was episode 6. That's where I'm getting a little fuzzy, and that's where I will agree with you. The season did not end with a bang. Like,
yeah, no, it's episode 7. You're right.
So I felt like episode 7 is like the big finale, where episode 8 is almost like an epilogue. Episode 8 is kind of like it has a weird pacing to it when you think of the season as a whole. And I will agree with you there, where episode 8 seems like it should have been episode 7, where you're getting all the character stuff. But I feel like he reversed kind of, like, he wanted the big action stuff in episode 7 and then the character stuff in episode 8, which again, I like the character stuff, so I don't fault him for it. But I can't really argue is episode 8 a little bit of James Gunn indulgence? Yes, it is. I guess because we're not married to a time. Like, it was a longer episode, so I forgave the stuff that I wasn't crazy about because it didn't take away from anything. It wasn't like they were they were married to like a 42-minute episode. So all the crap with the music and all that stuff took away from anything. I think he just added that stuff in it because he wanted to, you know?
Yeah, and that's another issue I kind of had with the season is sometimes,
It's getting a
and
little much.
I've told you before, sometimes a little bit of James Gunniness goes a long way for me, and sometimes it's like it's spread too much. It's
Well, we're essentially getting 8 James Gunn movies with this season. We're like,
yeah,
okay, we get it. You like music. You like playing weird ass metal music with like it's almost like that you can't get out of your own way argument where like you said a little goes a long way. Well, we're getting too much of it because it's 2 seasons of 8 episodes each. We see what you're doing. Can we just get back to making a movie or making a show, please?
yeah, and that's the thing with this series is, and I felt like some of it was even more over the top than season one, like with the orgy in the opening episode,
So
and then the song, there was it was
F,
the song I'm talking about.
yeah, basically F. I can't. I don't even want to like abbreviate that, but like, do my do my heart in the A or something.
Yeah, yeah, and
Uh,
it's like right after this
and
like
it's a really poignant, like heartfelt
moment.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ironically, what's funny to me, so the orgy thing didn't bother me because I thought it was funny, and it was episode 1, so we were just starting off the season. And I will say, one thing I got to give him credit for, and I don't know how he did this. Vigilante to me was actually dialed back a little bit this season, where I actually loved him this season. Where last year I felt like it was too much. Where this year he let the heartfelt moments play out better, I feel, in certain instances. The music I can't defend in that scene. But and then he actually I couldn't stand Tim Meadows' character in the beginning of the season. It's like he wants to try to annoy us with these people and then like prove to himself that he can get us to care about these characters as much as he annoys us with them in the beginning.
See, and I agree with you kind of on Tim Meadows' character because I found him a lot less grating as the season went on.
Yeah.
With Vigilante though, see there's a couple of things that kind of irritated me when we got to the end because I'm like, okay, well, I felt like we were going to get more of this. Like when you were talking about Vigilante, like the stuff with his mom, like and how terrible he is towards his mother.
You thought there was going to be some type of arc there?
I thought, okay, this is James Gunn. He's going to show us some episode where we get this little backstory between Vigilante and his mom.
Yeah,
But
I never caught.
no,
No.
he's just an asshole to his mom.
Yeah.
So
It seems like they're not doing any type of arc with Vigilante. He's just an asshole.
yeah, and then there's like there. So there was the whole arc with, and I can't remember the character's name, but it's Michael Rooker's character. That's
Oh,
that's the Eagle Hunter.
I could not stand that character. I'm not going to lie.
Well, there's this whole thing about the Alpha Eagle, and
There was no point to any of it.
James Gunn said in one of those podcast episodes that you're talking about, oh, this is going to be a bigger thing with Eagly as the Alpha Eagle.
And is
But
that
they
like,
never talked about it again.
well, was he lying just to make us think that Rooker wasn't going to get killed off so easily?
This was after the Rooker death because
Oh,
they
okay.
were
So I don't know.
yeah, because they were talking about this whole thing about the Alpha Eagle, and James Gunn in the podcast was like, "Oh, the Alpha Eagle's a thing. That's
I don't know.
that's gonna come back, and it might in
But
whatever in the DCU, but
yeah,
at this point, it was like, okay,
and
sure,
that here's the thing with I think with this show, season 1 was such a surprise to me because there were so many things that annoyed me, but in the end, it ended so strong that I forgave all the stuff that annoyed me. But the problem is, whenever you take a show with this type of humor, this type of balance of tone,
mm-hmm.
when you repeat it for a second season, it just seems too much. So, and this is where I will definitely agree with you. We're looking back at this season now. There are so many things that it's like you wish he just dialed it back a little bit because it just seems so repetitive. You start to see the like the not the repetitive nature, but like just his way of filmmaking used here, and it just becomes like annoying for lack of a better description. Like it's just
I definitely got.
you're so good at doing certain things. Can you stop trying to be James Gunn for 2 seconds and, and do the
Yes.
like
Absolutely. And I felt like it was like a purge of James Gunn's system. Like I was so reserved with Superman, I got to get all my James Gunniness out.
yeah. And
in season 2 of Peacemaker.
The emotion, like again, I don't want to say like I'm killing him for this, because I think in the grand scheme of things, I enjoyed so much of this show. He is so good at writing emotion. He is so good at misdirection. He is so good at the heart of these characters. Like if you told me so I think when I first watched episode 1 of season 1, I was like, he's going to make Harcourt and Chris fall in love. And I do not want that. So stupid and so cliche, and it's obvious. And I think it doesn't work. And I'm so over stuff like this. I will say by the end of season 2, I bought into it, because I don't think it was done. I don't think it was rushed. I don't think it was cliche the way he did it. I like the way it was done. I can totally see people not agreeing with me. I could totally see people saying it was stupid, but to me it worked because it wasn't too much. It wasn't like they're in love. It wasn't like love at first sight type of deal and they were just fighting it. I think it was more just because it felt real to me that, I don't know, just over 2 seasons, it felt like these are 2 people that are just lost and they made a connection with each other, and that was enough. So I give them credit for that kind of stuff. And I think the moment where, I know we're kind of jumping all around here, but I think the moment where he's just harping on, did it mean anything to you? Did it mean anything to you? I actually, we're going to give, a lot of people give him crap for casting his wife in this part. And I am not really a great judge on who's a good actor and who's not. I admit that. But I will say, her turning around and the way she delivers the line of course it did, you asshole. It meant everything. I thought that was great. I thought it was perfect. I love that moment. I really did. So I will give credit where credit is due. I like his emotion, his character work. Adebayo's speech to Chris in the hotel room is perfect. That's the kind of stuff where I wish he didn't do all the other crap, because I feel like it does sometimes just take away from the heartfelt stuff. He doesn't need to do the extreme both ways.
I agree with you. I do have a hard time with Jennifer Holland being Amelia Harcourt, because it pulls me out of it a little bit, not because of Holland's performance, because that scene you're talking about right there, I think she delivered a phenomenal performance in that. But I don't know, especially when I see that James Gunn is directing the episode.
Yeah.
And there's like intimate moments between John Cena and Jennifer Holland, or their characters. It just takes me out of it. And I can't help it. I don't mean it to be that way, and it's nothing wrong with the performances. It feels weird to me. It feels very Rob Zombie and Sherry Moon Zombie and voyeuristic, and I don't know. It weirds me out. But that's not the fault of the actors on screen. That's just my thing.
And that never like really bothers me, because I don't know. I just kind of go with it. Like that doesn't even cross my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and I get that. It's just that's completely a me thing. So I'm not going to blame the actors for that. But yeah, I thought that was delivered very well. I agree with you about Adebayo's speech. She gave a few speeches this season that were very, very good. I mean, the exchange between her and Judo Master.
Oh yeah,
on Earth X, which the Earth X reveal that it's this Nazi. The Nazis won World War II, and there's no people of color like that you can see anywhere. Was so wild, so out of left field, but done so effectively,
and getting us to care about Judo Master. Like I didn't see that coming. Like that's the stuff where it's like, man, you're such a good director, you're such a good writer. Just like dial back the juvenile stuff a little bit, you know? Like
Yeah.
I don't get his desire to feel like he has to do that still. You've grown so much as a director and so much as a writer. Why do you still have to feel the need to do this bizarre stuff? And again,
Yeah.
I feel like it's pretty on par to what season 1 was. It just it becomes a little much when you're watching 2 seasons of it. And I think it bothers me more because of how good the rest of the stuff is.
Yes, yes, because when you have moments like Robert Patrick's performance
Mhm.
in this season, which was phenomenal, and you have Adebayo's monologues, and you have the conversation at the end between Harcourt and Chris, it's that's all so gripping and deep stuff. And then for every one of those, you have moments of Michael Rooker's character eating bird crap.
Yeah, like, and listen, don't get me wrong. There are some things in this show that make me laugh out loud. I'm still laughing at the beginning of episode 7 where they're going over like you didn't notice the what's the
Yes,
Hitler book? What's
the
like
Mein Kampf.
you didn't
Yeah.
notice Mein Kampf sitting on the desk. You didn't notice this, and he's like, no, no, and I'm like, oh god. And then he's like, you didn't notice the mural on the wall. They showed the mural. I died. I laughed
Yes, that
so
was
hard at that. So
hilarious.
like, it's okay to have humor. I'm not against the humor. I think he does a good job at humor. He I think it's frustrating because it's like he doesn't know his own power. Like, how do you not know what is funny to everyone and what is just funny to you?
Yes.
Like you should recognize what is only funny to you and Michael Rooker. And
Yeah, and there's the thing that James Gunn, and this is no judgment, but James Gunn likes gross humor. And not everybody is a fan of gross humor.
hmm,
So, just dial it back just a little bit. But at the same time, James Gunn is, again, and this is the biggest call out I wanted to make, he is phenomenal. He is phenomenal at subverting expectations.
yes.
And Robert Patrick in this season is the perfect example of that, because when we go to this version of this different Earth, and Chris is, really like loving having this wonderful family relationship with his brother who is alive and his dad who is kind and caring and supportive. Robert Patrick played that phenomenally well, and I have never seen Robert Patrick, or at least not to my knowledge. If I have, I can't remember it. I've never seen Robert Patrick play a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt so cool to see him play something so out of character for what I know of Robert Patrick. And then there was that episode where it's the reveal of what Earth X is. That it's this Nazi, occupied, they won World War II, so everybody's a Nazi thing. And I text you because I was disappointed in that, because I'm like, oh, now Augie Smith is an asshole again. He's a bad guy again because he's a Nazi. And I was like, I told you specifically, I'm not a big fan of that, because it was really refreshing to see, Robert Patrick play a good guy for once.
Yeah.
And then the very next episode, he has that speech where he doesn't agree with the rest of the world. And he's just trying to do everything he can to do as much good as he can.
Yeah, and
And
the parallel there with him and Harcourt, that meant
yes,
something to Harcourt hearing that speech. So again, like that's the stuff that's so brilliant.
yeah. And it's like, oh, he is a good guy.
Yeah.
In this world, he's the exact opposite of, the Augie Smith that we know from the main Earth, because the Augie Smith in that Earth would have loved Earth X.
Mm-hmm.
But this Augie Smith does not agree with the Nazi regime that's taken over.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just trying to do the little bits that he can here and there to make the world a better place. And it's like, wow, where did this Robert Patrick come from? But it subverted that expectation where I went from liking him to, oh, he's an asshole again, to, oh, I love him.
Yeah.
And then they immediately kill him. But yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. And then you start thinking, well, wait, so is his son the asshole then? Like, which, because he's
Keith,
clearly,
yeah.
yeah. So, and they talk about how Keith is, or Chris in this world is an asshole. Or not necessarily an asshole, but he's the he's like the one that has his demons and he's fighting things, and it's almost like Robert Patrick feels, or Augie feels, that not necessarily that he deserved to die, but he believed our Chris that he didn't mean to do it and it was an accident and they shouldn't, punish him for it. Like, again, that kind of stuff is really well done.
Yes, it is. But then there's that other thread for me, was that Keith did not die on Earth X. They had the fight so that our team, the 11th Street kids, could get back into our main Earth through the quantum unfolding chamber, and Harcourt was going to kill Keith, but it didn't happen, because of the cops coming in. So we know that Keith is still alive, and it looks like at the end of episode 7, it seems very clear that Keith is going to be bent on revenge. Yeah. So my whole expectation was going into episode 8, and again, you can't let your expectations or your speculation become expectation. But my expectation was
that was going to be the throwdown in episode 8.
I thought somehow he was going to get through the quantum unfolding chamber, and the finale was going to be a big battle between Peacemaker and his brother. That's kind of where I felt like it was going.
And that's where I say to you, I felt like episode 7 was really the finale, because I did feel like that was a thread that was going to be set up for future things, where that would have been a good wrap up to the season. And that's like if we want to pull that thread, we can. If we don't, we don't.
Yeah.
But because it happens in episode 7, not episode 8, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah. And that's just where I thought the natural place to go was.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I knew we were going to revisit this whole thing. I knew there was going to be the thing about the boat and what may have happened between Harcourt and Chris on the boat. Well, I knew we were going to get back to that, but I just feel like
it shouldn't have been the final episode.
It shouldn't have been the finale.
Yeah, it seems like we probably could have done it differently, so there was some big thing at the end. That's where I kind of am like treating like episode 8 like an epilogue, and I keep saying that, but yeah, it's definitely bizarre because of the way it was set up and the way it was finished. I guess because I keep saying I enjoyed the character stuff in episode 8 so much. It is a little disappointing that there was no huge action scene in episode 8 at all, right? There was no action in episode 8.
I mean, Chris didn't even put on the suit.
No, I mean, he didn't put on the suit in 7 either, did he?
He had on I think for part of it.
That was the motorcycle escape in the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, he had the Earth X Peacemaker suit on.
Yeah. So yeah, it just wasn't that type of season. And again, I don't know. I think maybe I'll know how I feel more if I rewatch the whole season as a whole, because I've only watched each episode once.
Sure. Well, what did you think of the, since we talked before the spoilers, since we talked about the big cameo, what did you think of the inclusion of Lex Luthor in this season?
I did not expect it to be Lex Luthor. Even when Flag was saying, I need to go to Belle Reve and talk to someone, I was hoping it was going to be someone from Suicide Squad. It never even occurred to me that it was going to be Lex. I was thinking, oh, maybe it's, I thought it would have been cool if it was like stupid me, like Deadshot, or even Bloodsport. It could have been anyone. Like, I really didn't know what to expect. Or someone from Creature Commandos. I really had no idea.
I heard a lot of people were kind of, and I don't know why they expected this, maybe just because of the past history that James Gunn has with the Suicide Squad. I heard a lot of people were kind of expecting it to be Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn.
So I just don't think that would have made sense, though. Like, why would you need to talk to Harley Quinn?
What help? Yeah, and that was my thing. What help can Harley Quinn provide?
I will be honest. I expected her to have a cameo just because he's being coy with Harley in general, where he hasn't said whether she's coming back or not. But I didn't expect her in that scene.
I didn't either. I did not think Lex Luthor was the big cameo he was referring to.
I would have expected Waller more than anything.
Yes, I was expecting something like either Waller or Harley somewhere along the season, most likely towards the end. But I mean, I loved seeing Lex. It made sense to me because that they made it very clear where he was going at the end of Superman when somebody said throw his ass in Belle Reve.
Yeah.
So I loved seeing him, and it made perfect sense that they've got these like the pocket universe, and then we're working with something very similar with the quantum unfolding chamber. So there's a continuity there. I appreciate that, and of course, they would want to work with Lex Luthor's team because they were opening these things all over the place. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I did not need the joke about what was going on in the cell next to Lex Luthor's. That's another James Gunny thing there. I'm like, okay, sure. I guess we got to make Lex Luthor say something crude, but then we go into, and I just have to ignore that stuff because I know Gunn's going to do it.
Yeah, it's like he thinks it's funny because he got to use Lex Luthor in an R-rated show.
Yeah. And I think I've heard people reference he was talking about Killer Croc and Mr. Phosphorus. So
sure, I don't know.
Maybe that's a thing. I don't know, but it's interesting because by the end of the season, I think if you think about it, we get to a point where everything that Lex Luthor wanted to do, so far as metahumans, Rick Flag, most likely unintentionally, has accomplished everything that Lex Luthor set out to do, other than owning, this other country.
Yeah,
like he's got a place where he can throw metahumans, and that's what Lex Luthor wanted. So it makes me even more confused on how we're going to end up possibly with a Superman Lex Luthor team up. But I'm not mad at the show for that because that makes it more intriguing. So I'm not taking a shot at that. It's just I'm perplexed as to how we're going to get there.
Yes, and that's where I think people are putting too much into the fact that this sets up Man of Tomorrow. We don't necessarily know why or how. So
sure.
I also saw somewhere that Gunn may have possibly said that the Sanctuary does have some ramifications for the Lantern show. I don't know how true that is. I didn't see the actual article or the actual quote.
You mean Salvation?
What did I say? Sanctuary?
Sanctuary.
Sanctuary is another comic line. So yeah, I don't know what the case is with that. It's just kind of wait and see. But yeah, there's a lot of things that were good with this season that I really did enjoy. And like you, I watched every episode when it came out on Thursday, if not Friday morning. I was into it. I do think, again, because season 1 was so good, I don't want to punish season 2 because season 1 was so good. I think looking at a Peacemaker show at face value, did I expect to get 2 seasons of this show that are as good as this quality that I enjoyed as much as I have? No.
Yeah.
I don't, do I want to grade it on a curve though? Because season 1 was good, it's like, this one's good enough. It's tough.
Well, here's the thing for me. I do not need each season to top itself. I just need them to be good.
Yeah.
I don't need season 2 to be better than season 1 because I really, really love season 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay that season 2 was not as good. It's okay. It was still enjoyable. I had a good time with it. It didn't end quite how I would have wanted, but that's okay. It doesn't have to. So I just hope I just don't want it to go down a route that I've seen not be so great in the past, if that makes any sense.
No, I agree. And that's where I'm actually good with we're not getting a season 3. I don't need another season of these characters. I'm fine with it getting wrapped up somewhere else, or whether it be a Waller show or a Checkmate show. Again, I don't care. To me, that's semantics, or whether it's, a different title or what. I still am completely fine with this ending the way it did.
Oh, and since we're talking about season 1 to season 2, we got to mention the how they've retconned
Oh yeah,
Peacemaker
we never
into
even
this
talked about that.
universe.
Totally forgot about that. Yeah, I love it. I think it's so comic booky.
Yeah, that I do too. Where they just, the previously in the DCU. I love
I,
how they made that distinction.
I also want to point out how terribly wrong you were when we were predicting. You thought the other world was going to be the new DCU.
Well, I knew I knew I was completely way off base on that just when they did the previously in the DCU.
Yes,
And
it didn't take long for you to be proven way wrong on that.
yes. Yeah. But yeah, who knew they were going to do that?
I did not expect them to do that, but I love it. Here, this is it. You remembered it wrong. This is how it was. Just go with us. And that is such a comic book thing. Like I loved it.
Yeah. What are you talking about, Justice League? No, it was the
Yeah.
Justice Gang that showed
Now,
up at the end.
I will say, if they go back and change the ending digitally for season 1, so I can't even watch it originally, I will be a little upset about that, but that would be kind of funny.
I don't think Gunn would do that.
No, I don't think so either. Because I think he enjoyed doing that. He said he enjoyed doing that with Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa, so I don't think he would remove him completely. But it would be kind of funny to have like an alternate version.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe the DCU cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed that. I liked seeing within the first episode we saw a good bit of our friends from the Justice Gang. So, and I do think that in that interview scene, I thought that was funny. Where Maxwell Lord didn't know the microphone was on.
Oh yes, I thought that was good too.
That made me laugh.
And I admittedly was nervous about Maxwell Lord's characterization. Mm-hmm. I thought it was fine though. He wasn't too much for me. It wasn't too much humor for me.
No. That was a little more of the humor I can deal with.
Yeah.
I did though think that we may see more of the Justice Gang through the season.
I did too.
So, and that's where I think I keep coming back to the finale. I thought there was going to be more comic bookiness in the finale, being James Gunn.
Yeah, it was a different type of season as far as the comic bookiness compared to last season. It was more of a character thing, good or bad, and where I liked it, but I could see why it's almost a double-edged sword going with all the character stuff, but still having the stupid humor. It was a harder balance than it was for season 1.
Sure. Agreed. So at the end of the day, it's where I'm at with season 2. I liked it. I'm just short of I didn't quite love it, but that's okay. It sounds like you liked it more than I did, which I'm happy you did. But point being, I had a great time going through 8 weeks of television. So it was really fun ride, and I can't wait to see what's next with the DCU. I will say this, Joe. I would like to see James Gunn direct a little less going forward. I want to see some different creative aspects of the DCU than just James Gunn at the helm.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It has been tough because every property we've gotten has been James Gunn, so we're kind of on James Gunn overload.
Yes.
Where even though Superman is James Gunn dialed back, they still have those moments of James Gunn in it.
Yes.
But between Peacemaker, if you want to include Peacemaker season 1, you could technically include the Suicide Squad. I mean, the DCU has been just completely James Gunn so far. We have not had anything that is not James Gunn.
Yep. And now we know he's doing Man of Tomorrow.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, I'm ready to hear some different voices.
And thankfully, we got Supergirl before Man of Tomorrow. We get Clayface. So it'll be nice to see a little bit of a tonal shift, hopefully, with those 2 movies.
Yes. And Lanterns.
And Lanterns. And also, let me, correct myself. I think there is a tonal shift between Superman and Peacemaker. I don't think they're the exact same tone.
No, they're not at all.
But they still have James Gunn's stamp on them. So I'm with you. I would like to see way more variety going forward.
Agreed. And that's not to say anything at all about the quality of those projects. They've all been very high quality projects.
Yeah.
But we know that it's a big it's a big point of pride that they're looking to be very creator centric.
Yes.
And give people that runway to be creatively different and have different tones. And thus far, like you said, all the projects are gone. So I'm ready for a different flavor of ice cream at the DCU Baskin Robbins.
Agreed.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up about season 2 of Peacemaker before we wrap it up here, Joe?
No, I think I said everything I need to say. I kept kind of circling back around and repeating myself, so I think I'm good. Again, I'm with you. I enjoyed it. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as season 1 as a whole, but it was, again, like you said, enjoy. Excuse me. I enjoyed watching all 8 episodes. It was a fun thing to watch each week. Another, successful property in the new DCU. And I'm looking forward to new creatives going forward. I think that's pretty much all we need to say about it. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Excellent. Yep, I agree with you. Liked it. And that's good enough. So that's where we're going to wrap it up for our coverage of Peacemaker season 2. Joe, I know it's been a while. Thank you for coming back on with me and getting a review of Peacemaker in the books. And we will be back very soon with a Halloween episode for spooky season. So I'm looking forward to that. But Joe, again, thank you for joining and let everybody know where they can find you out there on social media.
You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd as jforn11, and you can find me on Facebook as Joe Fornarato, Fornarotto. Yeah, this was fun. Hopefully the next episode will be a little closer, and yeah, it'll be nice to talk some Halloween stuff with you, and we'll see you then.
Excellent. And as for myself, you can find my personal accounts on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Threads. That's mecarter89, mecarter89. The show can be found on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, and Blue Sky. That's tfrbatpod. Again, if you have thoughts, questions, comments, or anything like that for the show, just send us those emails. You can shoot those to tfrbatpod@gmail.com. If you're looking for a way to support the show, the best and easiest way to do that is to leave us a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you listen to us on. If you do leave a written review on Apple Podcasts, we will read those on the show. If you're looking for another way to support the show, we don't ask that you spend a dime on this show, but if you'd like to, you can go to redbubble.com and find our logos created by Justin Kowalski on all kinds of fun merch there. Our theme song was created by Gaurav Venkateswar, and his music can be found at gvtunes.com. Don't forget to go to Panel Bound Comics. Use the link in the description of this podcast and use our promo codes there, and you can save while you support this show. Hint, hint, they have a couple of different versions of Batman Haunted Night. And if you're looking to maybe get some reading in before our Halloween episode, might be a good place to visit. So go to Panel Bound Comics, use our promo codes there, and we thank you for that. But that's going to do it for this episode of TFR. Thank you guys so much for joining us once again. I hope you're all having a wonderful, spooky season, and we'll see you next time for some Halloween fun. But until then, make sure you keep that bat signal lit and pointed skyward. Batman was created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane and is the sole property of Warner Bros. Discovery. The Fire Rises, a Batman podcast, is in no way associated with DC Comics, DC Studios, or Warner Bros. Discovery. The thoughts and opinions of the participants of this show are their own and do not reflect the companies that they work for. Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.